So these are my thoughts. This is not a formal review. This is not a video essay. This is just a vlog, my personal thoughts on Godzilla 2014. Hi, my name is Siru Shirai, and I like kaiju movies. I used to watch them when I was a kid, a lot of Showa era stuff. Godzilla Jr., Godzilla Son? So, Son of Godzilla is the name of the movie. I don't know why I watched that, why that one specifically stands in my mind, but I got a soft spot for that one. And Godzilla versus Gigan and Godzilla versus Hedorah, although that one didn't watch, but it was the first one I owned. And then there's some other kaiju stuff like Pacific Rim. I think it's a big one that you would expect of a fake kaiju fan like me. But I like kaiju movies, and so I decided, in anticipation for Godzilla vs. King Kong, I would finally get around to watching the modern Godzilla movies. And so here we are. I watched the 2014 one. I liked it. I didn't love it, but I liked it. I didn't love the 2014 Godzilla one, but I liked it. And I liked the build up of the movie, kind of. So I like the montage at the start, which leads to the Philippines, and there's this kind of establishes a mythos of Godzilla, that Godzilla is this like ancient being who has been around for a long time, and then it has hints that are later revealed. Spoiler alert. First off, huge spoiler alert for the movie that came out 7 years ago. If you have not seen the 2014 Godzilla yet, I will spoil the hell out of that movie. So, if you want to watch it, you haven't seen it, I do recommend it. It's good. But just don't watch the rest of this review if you don't want to get spoiled on it. So, the montage at the start, which leads to the Philippines. There is Monarch, and they are going to. Monarch is like the secret organization. They're what Shield is to superheroes. Monarch is to kaiju, which I think is super cool. I think Shield is a cool concept, and that whole this organization deals with the factor that is the difference between that fictional world and our world. I just think that's a cool idea. So we get to the Philippines in 1999. It sets up this mystery of what's going on, and then it gets to 1999 section in Japan, and then it's like a disaster movie, which I think is super cool. I like that, and treating the kaiju like forces of nature is a great idea. I don't think it's revolutionary, but I think it's a great idea. And then after the disaster happens, which when the disaster happened, I will say it was very sad when the wife died. I did think it was kind of cliche in the whole woman in the refrigerator trope, but it was still very sad when she died. The acting was really well done. Bryan Cranston is that his name? Oh my god, I'm so bad with actors. Yeah, Bryan Cranston. Bryan Cranston had a wonderful performance in the movies. I will only be talking about the acting in one other character later on. After the 1999 section is done, it becomes this conspiracy movie, which is really cool. I like that idea also about how there's this cover up hiding the kaiju, and I think they could have done a lot more with that. And then the first Muta appears. Well, the first Muta hatches from the egg or the cocoon, and then it goes back to being a disaster movie. But it's kind of a boring one after that. So I like that there was a lot of suspense to build up Godzilla, right? But I feel like once he showed up and got a proper look at him, it was almost like the movie was shy about showing us any sort of kaiju stuff, which I know that's like the almost cliche criticism of the movie that, oh, Godzilla didn't show up enough. But like, I'm fine with Godzilla not showing up until the later part of the movie. And honestly, I'd be fine with him not showing up. Well, him showing up just as little, but we'll get to that in a bit. So we saw the destructive aftermath of the kaiju. We didn't get to see the mutas just messing stuff up. We didn't get to see much of Godzilla fighting the mutas either. We did see at the end, and there was kind of, I thought it was kind of weak that the flying muta, the male of the species, was pretty much taken out by a whip of the tail. I know it was a bit more complicated than that, and Godzilla probably wear them down, but when the killing blow was Godzilla just kind of whacking them with his tail, it 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 feels wrong. It feels almost cheated. The Godzilla killing the female of the species, though, that was cool. That was Godzilla. It's now classic shot of Godzilla blasting the female Muto with Godzilla's breath weapon, which I thought was super cool. I can appreciate that they didn't want to show the kaiju that much because they wanted to focus about the people in the world. And I get that. I think that's a cool idea. I think that could have been really well done. But then like, if you do that, you can't have such a boring protagonist. Oh my god. If the movie was about Bryan Cranston's character, that'd be cool. Conspiracy man on a mission is knowledgeable enough about what's going on, but he doesn't understand the full picture. And so he needs some things explained to him. And we can kind of go on this adventure of finding out more about the kaiju. And even if we don't want to find more about the kaiju, you could have had maybe different character. But he dies 35 minutes in, and we're stuck with his son Ford, who is at the start of the movie. He says his dad. Ford. Okay, Ford is boring as hell. He's so boring. At the start of the movie, he says his dad needs to move on from Ford's dead mother, like Ford did. But then his wife says, "Yeah, I can see that you moved on," and it's supposed to be like, oh, he has some sort of psychological problem, or maybe he's like dedicated to remembering, like a Batman kind of Batman, but he fights. I mean, he does dispose of bombs, so maybe it is kind of like Batman, but he fights radioactive power plants that are failing. Who knows? But no, it's never brought up again. He seems to be a well-adjusted adult. He's boring, but he's well-adjusted. He goes through so much in the movie and comes out pretty much the exact same. He has no character arc. He doesn't learn anything. He goes through a lot, but he ends up the exact same as when he began. And that's just criminal. He goes through so much. He gets thrown around a van. He almost falls off a destroyed bridge in a train. He does fall off a destroyed train's bridge, plummeting off a cliff into some water and getting up covered in mud with no serious injuries. Not even concussion. I mean, the guy's plot armor is so large, he may as well count as a kaiju. And I get that they want a happy ending, and I love happy endings. I really do. I never watched the end of The Greatest Showman because I stopped it because it was like a emotional roller coaster where it's happy and sad, and so I just at one of the happy parts, I just paused the movie and I'm done. I'm done. We're just gonna leave it at that. But it's just it crosses the line of suspension of disbelief, and it doesn't help that the actor isn't great. His expressions, physical and verbal, they range from mild happiness to mild annoyance. He's so boring. Like, his dad dies in front of him. There's this funny scene. Okay, well, it's not supposed to be funny, but there's a scene where Bryan Cranston is dying from the injuries that he suffered from the hands of the first Muta. So what Ford decides to do is he goes up to his dad in this helicopter. And his dad has this face mask on. He has this ventilator. And Ford just kind of pushes it aside and he's like, Dad, Dad, was there anything something like, is there anything you wanted to say or something? His dad says like, get out, go home, be a good father or whatever, and then he almost dies, and it's like, dude, why did you take his ventilator off? Like, okay, he probably dies for unrelated reasons later on, but like, you see a guy with a ventilator, you don't think, okay, time to take that off, and then talk, like you could have just talked to the guy, you know? She has something to say. And also, when the dad dies, I thought it was so weird that, the monarch people were like, hey, is there anything that your dad told you? And he made like a very big point about being like, dad, like well, not a very big point, but he at least showed some expression and discomfort with all the crazy notes that his dad was taking of the kaiju, or he didn't know it was kaiju, but of the evidence of the kaiju. And he was looking at bioecholocation, was bioacoustics. So, like, that was cool that we knew he was on the right track. But, like, the monarch people ask Ford, is there anything that your dad told you? And Ford just says, no, I don't know anything. It's like, dude, tell them to go back to your dad's place and look at all of his crazy notes that he had on the walls. Like, he was even looking at bioacoustics. Like, what? What's wrong with you? Just tell him. It couldn't hurt. And speaking of the monarch people, I thought it was very underwhelming that they wanted to focus on the military. I find military stuff to be kind of boring, in all honesty, but even aside from my personal preference, I feel like, Monarch is a top secret powerful organization. Okay, it's like if in a superhero movie, instead of focusing on SHIELD, they focused on the police, which, I mean, that could be interesting, but the military in this doesn't really do anything smart. They mostly just kind of dick around for a bit. Okay, I don't understand why they focused on the military as opposed to Monarch. Monarch's a top secret powerful organization focused around the kaiju, and like after the first meet of hatches, the only people we see of them is Dr. Serizawa and his assistant or his wife. I'm not entirely sure what the dynamic was supposed to be. But then we just get to see the military making a bunch of stupid decisions. And speaking of Dr. Serizawa, I also thought it was weird that, like, he assumed Godzilla would bring order into the world, and, like, he's the apex predator, so that means he's gonna make sure the other people stay on their feet, but, like, I just don't understand what Godzilla's beef was with the mutas. Like, I know Godzilla in other media is the protector of Earth, but in this he seems to be just kind of like the plot needs him to fight the mutas, so Godzilla's gonna fight the mutas, and I thought that was kind of weak. Something I did like, I like the soundtrack. And the sound that the monsters make. The soundtrack was baller, but the sound that the monster made was also really good. Godzilla and the mutas were both sweet. The CGI was good. Every time I thought Ford was about to die, no, I never thought Ford was about to die. Yeah, no, that was so overall, my overall thoughts are, it was a good 2 hours spent. I wouldn't watch it again. I think the focus on such a boring character was so misplaced. It was really not a good idea. I'm okay with it not being a kaiju fight fest. It doesn't need to be, going back to, one that stands on my mind, Godzilla versus Gigan. I know that's not like what people think of as like, oh, that's the best Godzilla movie, but like, it has a special place in my heart. And it just doesn't need to be a fight fest, but it needs to have something going for it. And as it stands, it's just about one dude who kind of goes from place to place doing what the plot needs him to do. And he's so boring. He's so boring. He's so boring. So yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this thoughts video vlog. I don't know what to call this. I think I'm gonna title it something like Thoughts on Godzilla 2014 or Godzilla 2014 Thoughts. Yeah, I don't know. If you liked this, subscribe, comment, and let me know what you thought about the movie. If you like Godzilla 2014, if you didn't like Godzilla 2014, let me know what you think. I'm planning on doing this again for King of Monsters and Kong Skull Island, and then finally when Godzilla vs. King Kong comes out, I'm gonna do that. If I have time between then and I get around to it, I'm also gonna do the original King Kong vs. Godzilla because I have all the Showa era movies. I think that's it. If you want to see me play video games, you can check out my YouTube channel, Omega Ego. Other than that, I think that's it. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful day. The I don't know.